Council Room. Welcome to our Masquerade Workshop. Our presenters today are going to be Amber, Hugh, and Marissa.
This year, Council Room started the Who It Yourself campaign, which has been designed to spotlight the originality and creativity of you, the fans, whether it's writing, art, cosplay, carpentry, film, or beyond.
This is part one of a three-part series that will help you participate in cosplay and masquerades at various conventions.
Today we will be focusing on finding your character, researching their costume, and planning the execution of your costume.
When you're doing cosplay, you need to think about who your character is, where they live, what they do, what kind of materials they have access to, what kind of activities they'll be doing. You also want to be thinking about what kind of activities you'll be doing when you're wearing the cosplay. It's going to be very important when you're designing your outfit. Generally, there's three types of cosplay. The first would be completely original costumes where you're designing all or most of it. This would include steampunk versions of other characters. For instance, I'm creating a post-apocalyptic Rapunzel. And when I'm designing this, I'm trying to combine parts of her character that are integral to her original character, like her hair. Her hair has healing properties. I think in a post-apocalyptic world, that's probably going to be really important to keep around. But I'm getting rid of some of the things that don't make so much sense in that particular world. So like her ballet slippers, I'm probably going to use combat boots instead. Being that it would most likely be a rough terrain, I would think in a post-apocalyptic world, the combat boots are going to serve her a little better. I'm also replacing her dress most likely with pants. I would think in a post-apocalyptic world she'd be doing a lot of running. So rather than using a dress, which I think would be cumbersome in that kind of world, I would most likely go to something that provides a little easier movement. So you want to keep those kinds of things in mind when you're designing your cosplay.
The second type of cosplay is creating a costume based on existing works such as films, comics, art, etc. For example, I did The Weeping Angel, and so I started by looking for photos from various angles. I also rewatched the episodes, keeping that pause button handy so that I could stop and look at the details. And then I also looked for existing tutorials online. The first thing I had to think about was actually wearing it. These wings are going to get very heavy, so I had to think about how I was going to support that weight without it being too hard on my body. So I used a back support belt that people use when they're lifting heavy things, and attached the wings directly to that. So it was twofold. It was easy to get on because it's just a harness, but it was also supporting the weight on my shoulders. The next thing I thought about was my dress. I couldn't find a pattern for the dress, so I used one pattern piece for the bodice, and then I made my own pattern for the rest of the dress. When I thought about the bottom of the dress, I wanted to weight it so that it would stay down, but I also wanted it to stay kind of stiff so that I looked like a statue. So I put a hula hoop into the bottom of the dress. When I thought about the arms and the neck area that would be showing under the dress, I used tights, a pair of tights that I put over my arms, over my head, and then I actually added a piece from a second pair of tights to put over my whole head to cover anything that would show underneath the hair. And then I just sewed in between the fingers to make the fingers, and then I went into the face and the hair. The first year I did it, I used a modeling clay, and it worked great, but then by the second year it had shrunk, so it no longer fit on my head. And so I had to rethink it and try another material. So for the hair I used just a wig. I just bought a wig and spray painted it gray. And for the face, instead of using clay all over the face, I just did the detail actually with felt, just to make the facial features.
As another example, I have the beginning of my cupcake dress that Kaylee wears in Firefly. This is just the petticoat, and because it's such a large dress, one of the big things for me was thinking about breathability. If I'm going to be wearing this around all day, I want it to be able to breathe so I don't get too hot with this massive dress on. So the petticoat is made with cotton as a base. Being a natural material, it breathes a little better. The overdress is going to be made out of silk. Also, being a natural material, it breathes a little better. It is more expensive to use silk, so you should be thinking about whichever material works best for you. If you wanted to use a polyester chiffon, for something like that, totally okay. It's going to be much less expensive. It's going to be much easier to take care of than silk is, and it just might not breathe quite as well because it's not that natural material. And if sewing isn't your forte, there are many other ways that you can cosplay. You don't have to make everything from scratch.
A lot of beginners are looking for an entrance into cosplay. The easiest way is off-the-shelf cosplay. That is using items that you already have or that you wear every day. Right now I'm doing a costume of the 12th Doctor in the early 9th season, which consists of a hoodie, a t-shirt, an overcoat, plaid pants, black shoes, and sunglasses. The plaid pants are really the hardest part to find. Right now I'm using pajama pants. But be on the lookout at Goodwill, Savers, and Salvation Army for the pants you need. They might have them at any time. Those stores are your friends.
Sometimes you can't find the exact off-the-shelf costume piece that you're looking for in stores. You can get a little crafty by making small alterations to store-bought pieces. For example, on this River Song dress, I added a ribbon to make it look closer to the dress that River wore in The Time of Angels in Flesh and Stone. Another example of a store modification is this Victoria costume from the Patrick Troughton era of Doctor Who. The pants, shoes, and socks are all store-bought with no alterations. With the jacket here, I found this jacket. It had a pocket up here originally, and I removed that. For the buttons, it was only a 2-button jacket, so I added, it was difficult to figure out how to create buttonholes on this, so instead I sewed buttons on the front and used Velcro to tie it together. Then on the shirt here, I bought a white button-up, and it had a little bit of lace, but I wanted more. So I added lace around the neckline and a little bit on the wrists. Now, if you are not crafty at all or really short on time, there's an option to buy a character's costume online. For example, we have this Harry Potter Hogwarts cloak here that was just purchased online.
Hopefully these ideas will help you get started on the road to cosplay and masquerade.
Some of our sources that we use are books. We can find a lot of good photos, good information about our characters from our books. We also go online. There's a lot of photos, blogs, tutorials that you can find online. And you can also watch the episodes, and if you can't watch the episodes, there's all these other resources. A list of our favorite sources are in the description below. We hope you enjoyed our introduction into our masquerade workshops.
Our second workshop is on February 19th. We will work with you on assembling and accessorizing your costume.
Our third workshop is March 19th. Here we will cover character performance both on stage and in the hall.
Come and join us here. Bring your costumes and ideas. We are here to work with you.
What will you create?